Let's see. Oh, hang on.
All right. All right. All right. Bear with us one moment. We are about to get started. Make sure that you comment in the chat, and we will make sure that any questions we have, anything that you got for us, make sure we get answered. But yeah, just be prepared because we about to go live. About to do it all. Matter of fact, I think Austin said that he might sing for us tonight.
Got it.
Come on, Austin YOLO. You're getting married soon, man. You got to go ahead and just go out on the wire. You got to just let it fly.
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh, I like it. I got a maybe. Uh-oh. He's popping back in. Oh, he popped back out. Oh, there you go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Uh-oh.
I'm in a better spot now.
I was about to say, it's just like Josh is on his car confessional stuff, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's yeah, a lot of hollering, yelling in my background.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. We are about to get started momentarily. Waiting for a few more people to get in here, and then we'll be all set. Sam Warnett, hey fam, guess what? Did she? You know what? I already know. When she says, "Guess what?" I'm guessing it's chicken butt.
Let's see.
Yeah, because she's Sam, you can't be trusted at this juncture in your life, so we will just take this with a grain of salt. Oh my God! No way. Yes, so John Ha is going to the he's going to the Colts Jags game in Jacksonville. Matt Ryan fan. Oh my God. You know what? That might actually be a good thing though, because if John Ha is going with her to a game and Matt Ryan is like one of his favorite quarterbacks, I'm almost willing to bet money that might just go ahead and just break our streak in Jacksonville. Either that or he's going to give us the worst luck ever, and we're just going to be doomed for that day.
I don't know. Should we take our chances? He should stay at home, I guess.
I don't know, man. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes, and just go from there. All right. Okay, now chicken. Thanks, Sam. We do appreciate you. All right. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get started. So we will be right back.
I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. It's Kush. I love me too much and your brain turn to mush. Fall flat on your tush. You couldn't handle the product I push. I guess I'm just used to it, I just do it. Like Nike swoosh, none of that Reggie Bush, cause I'm top shelf. I ain't got wealth, but I'm on my grind like park rails. I'd sell the shoes right off my 2 feet.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
All right, and thank you for that, guys. We are back. One quick thing: we're not back with Derek Larger. I clicked the wrong thing. My bad. But you know what? Either way, it's just like we love the Colts family. Shout out to the Bring the Juice podcast. Shout out to the Anvil. Shout out to all the Colts podcasts out there. Blue Stable. We appreciate y'all. Okay, it's just like we are all cogs working for the same machine. So fantastic. In the meantime, getting to this one, this right here, You'll Know Jack podcast, where we're coming to you with everything exclusive regarding the Colts, regarding news from around the NFL, and just basically just going over everything that you know and love. And by the way, you get to see our shining faces and personalities. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a win-win-win. Normally it's a win-win, but it's another win because 3 of us. So you know what? Boom, you're welcome. All right. And so with that being said, let me just go ahead and get to the 3 wins, okay? First off, we're going to start off with the man, the myth, the senior, Josh Senior, everybody.
What's good, everybody?
Thank you. So that we're going to go, and we're gonna talk to a guy that is T-minus how many days from saying those vows now?
Yeah, big day coming.
Yeah, it's like 18 or 19.
Ooh, we almost there. We almost there. It's going to be fantastic. But we have with us Ice Cookie, everybody.
Yo, what's up? I'm Austin.
Hey, you came up with that name, okay? You came up with that name, and we're gonna rock with that one moving forward. So, yes. And then of course I'm Chris Jackson. Yes, I am Chris Jackson. I only identify as Chris Jackson. So yes. But yeah, man, how's everything been going? I know we took a week off. It was, just kind of let everything just kind of go. We're doing our own research, kind of going over everything. But how's everything been in the meantime, fellas?
It's been pretty good,
Y'all know wedding planning.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Josh? How's everything been going with you, bro?
It has not been good at all.
No.
When you wake up to a notification that says LA didn't trade it for Pat Beverly, it ruins your whole week. It ruins your whole week, man.
Oh man, you know what? That reminds me of? That reminds me of when every single time like Kobe went up against somebody, like in a playoff series, the Lakers literally went and got them, and then they were actually able to like do really well with each other. That's literally what this reminds me of. It's just like, hey, Russell and Pat Bev don't like each other, so we're gonna go get Pat Bev. It's like
everybody like, come on, man,
that's the move that you decided to make. Like we just said, you know what? You know who we need? Patrick Beverly. Like how do you even pitch that?
It's bad. I'm sorry. Went off to something else, but you asked how my day was or how things been, and I ain't been good. But hopefully this podcast bring me back to a better mood.
I think so. I hope so. We had some great news coming out of camp, and then we have Harish in there with Bam Bam Sam, such a proud dad. Oh, okay, there you go. But hey, just some quick news just from around the NFL. It's been a weird news week, like as a whole. I know we heard about Matt Araiza. For those who aren't familiar, he was the Bills punter who was under investigation for sexual assault stemming from a gang assault on a 17-year-old woman. Um, I'm going to say a few years ago. And the details were actually pretty bad. We'll go over it on here. Um, Apparently, the Bills were privy to this. They knew about it, and they, still had him anyway. But now the allegations blew up. Everything kind of blew up, and now he's out of there. So, um, I'm gonna say it was a bad situation, being that now we understand that the Bills knew about it. But it's a good situation now because you have one less creep with an opportunity. So
Well,
it's
what's so bad about that? If they knew about it, why would you let your veteran punter go? I would at least hang on to him until things would be till things were more until things more information came out, and then cut him. But you still have Hawk or
so
Hack, whatever his name is.
so the thing is, it's like I feel like, and this shouldn't even be a thing. I mean, I'm going completely off the cuff. This is my opinion, and this in no way, shape, or form diminishes anything that might have happened. But I mean, you're going with more so of a recency bias. It's just like it's about the fact that we saw him punt a ball 82 yards, and I'm guessing from there they were just like, you know what, this is somebody that we can maybe see how this situation progresses. We'll see what happens. But then you see that all this stuff is coming out now, and then the details are released where it was like it as the more that you heard about it, the worse it got. And I mean, the Bills, I feel like it was they did it kind of to be upstanding, but I think it was more so because of the fact that they didn't want to be connected to that. I mean, we're talking about a minor who was gang assaulted, and this is back in these were men who were grown, and they're
Yeah,
assaulting a minor, and it's just like there's no room for that. Like this shouldn't happen. And the NFL, their stances on any type of sexual assault has to be different because I mean, you can't be upset, or you can't go out and be mad at somebody for doing something like, let's just say, protesting. But then it's just like you're giving people who are being accused of sexual assault on women, who have access to resources, who have access to power, and you're telling them that it's okay for them to do this stuff. But you have people who, took a stance, and then they had to basically take a silent punishment for it. It's just like it doesn't make sense. And if we're being completely honest, it's just like, I'm glad Arrays is out of here. I hope that he doesn't get any more, or he doesn't get another opportunity ever. Like, that's not something that should stand for. So that's just where I stand on that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it's a sensitive subject, so I know we got to move along.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the only other news that we've had, or at least that has been big news, was Brian Robeson. He was the rookie running back, or I believe he was the running back that was competing with Antonio Gibson for the Washington Commanders. Over the weekend, it was revealed that he was shot in an attempted carjacking. Somebody attempted to carjack him. He's out of the hospital now. They said that he's in good spirits. So prayers and speedy recovery to him. And it's just, yeah, it's a crazy world that we live in, but it's just like I said, it could have ended up a lot worse. But definitely glad to have news that he's gonna be all right. So that would be a great thing.
Yeah, I think he was listed as a starter. They already deemed him as a starter, and he ended up getting a shot. I think the same day.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's man, this is crazy. And I know we saw a couple injuries to key players across the league too. In that preseason game Saturday, so I think T.J. Watt, a couple other guys got injured.
Yeah. There were a couple other injuries. I think T.J. Watt was a knee injury. I think there was another injury. But like I said, that goes with anything. And I mean, the guys, they wanted to let them get in and get reps, make sure that they kind of shook the rust off a little bit. So, like I said, anybody's recovering from an injury now, yeah, then we're we're definitely gonna stay as far away from that as possible when it comes to injuries. Hopefully, like I said, this cannot be an injury-riddled season like what we've seen over the past couple of years, but, we'll see.
Right.
But if it was an injury-riddled season for the Colts, one guy that I would actually have pure faith in?
Who?
Sam Ellinger.
Yes.
Sam Ellinger. I don't care if he's a third QB behind Nick Foles. He has proven himself. I've become a Sam Ellinger fan, possibly even more so than Harish when he was in Texas. Okay, listen, I will go to bat for Sam Ellinger, and he had 3 games to really prove himself, to really kind of just stay on that roster, and I mean, he's proven that he's the guy. Like, he's, not necessarily him being the guy who's going to be a starter in week 2, but he's proven that it's just like, yeah, he's developing properly and he's coming along. So I know we asked this question on the last podcast, and I know it's important because I do want to make sure that we kind of touch on this after not seeing him just have one good, preseason game. He's had a string of good preseason games.
Right.
So, is Sam Ellinger being developed to be the Colts' next quarterback? I mean, I'll start with you, Austin. What do you think?
So the first time I answered this, I said no. And I'm not 100%, but after watching him play all 3 games, and he was solid all 3 games, like, I think it could be more of a possibility than we think, or than we originally thought. He showed that he's improved even from last season quite a bit. His arm strength isn't all the way there, but it wasn't terrible. He placed the ball really well.
Yeah.
And he can obviously run as well. So I mean, I'm not saying no, but I mean maybe.
Okay. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, my stance has changed as well. But I don't know. It's depending on what he learned from the 2 quarterbacks ahead of him this year, or maybe 2 years, because they both signed 2 years. So if he can learn in these 2 years, and they believe that he can start, and there's a, hey, I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I guess it depends on that. I guess it depends on what he learns from the 2 guys in front of him for these 2 years, or who they see in the draft. They don't see a guy in the draft that makes us better over Sam, then I will say yeah.
Okay, and the only reason why I think I'm as high as I am when it comes to Sam Ellinger is because of the fact that he's somebody that is familiar with the system, and he's becoming more familiar. I'm going to say it's just like, if you think back to last season where we saw him in action and then seeing him this season, you see that there's been a massive development in terms of how he's able to throw, how he's able to climb the pocket, how he's able to kind of escape. And the other big thing is, in order to be able to say that the Colts are going to eventually have to get, because we're going to have to eventually get a quarterback. Matt Ryan's 37. So we're going to have to eventually get a quarterback. But the thing is, if we're going to be getting a quarterback, that means that eventually we're going to have a bad season, which means that we're probably going to be looking at no more than 4 wins in order to be able to crack the top 5 and then be in the running to be able to grab a quarterback. So
we can still get one. I mean, in the late first round, like Aaron Rodgers was. He was a late first rounder. I mean, I'm not saying that's a possibility, but we can still do that. Not a lot of teams do that. Good quarterbacks like Joe Barrow, all of those guys are top 5, top 10 picks. So it's kind of hard. But I get your point though. Yeah, we're gonna have to try to suck really bad to get a guy, in the top 5.
Yeah, and it's just like I think Aaron Rodgers dropping the way that he did was an anomaly. Like, I think especially for him, because I mean, he was a fantastic quarterback, but you also have to understand that it's just like, how often does a great quarterback drop in the first round like that? It's just like, I think the only other example that you have is just like, let's just say like Russell Wilson dropping to Seattle, and dropping merely because of size. Like,
Lamar Jackson.
exactly. And it's just like Lamar dropped into the best possible situation. So, it's just like when you're looking at, quarterbacks that are coming out potentially, you know that they're going to go high.
Right.
But I mean, I think when it comes down to what we're looking for, if for some reason, let's just say Sam goes and, next season he has another season like he has with the preseason, I don't think there's anything that suggests that he wouldn't be able to compete for that starting job later on. Because, I mean, we can only do this, you know, getting leftover quarterbacks but for so long before we actually get a guy that can potentially be a franchise quarterback where we don't have to keep on going year in and year out, just paying $25 million for 1 year and then, having to get another guy when we have guys who need to be paid and we have guys who need to be introduced to a new system.
Yeah.
Correct.
We have to eventually settle down somewhere.
I mean, like I said, it could be Sam. I mean, we saw the playmaking ability. You saw he escaped for a 44 or 50-yard rushing touchdown, which is impressive. I mean, when last time we seen that out of a coach quarterback? Probably never.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, never.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably never.
I can't even remember. I can't even go back. Jim, I can't even. Man, I can't even remember.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but I mean that's all the more reason why like you have to. I'm gonna say it's really just going to be based on a lot of progression. It's and like I said, Sam, he's learning a lot. He's looked really good. I mean, it's just like even the dot that he threw to Jelani Woods, the way that he climbed up the pocket, it's just like
Yeah.
he was able to escape those blitzes. He was able to make sure that he was getting through. And then I mean, when he threw the pass to Jelani Woods, he threw it with that speed that you look for from somebody who's going to be out there and potentially, making sure that he's making the best out of every opportunity.
True.
Being able to kind of break the pocket or break in or climb the pocket and then still be able to make those throws and not have that panic. I mean, it's just like it kind of looked like what we went through with Carson Wentz, just without the panic and the hurry.
Right. Like the play to Desmond Packman for that 50-yard touchdown. I think he escaped to the left and threw to the left. That was a nice
Exactly. Yeah, and the thing is, and we saw that from him numerous times, even with the way that our backup offensive linemen just, weren't able to properly defend the way that they should have.
Yeah.
So that, like I said, I just think that I think, and I want to believe that he's being groomed, that he's, they might be looking to potentially have him, maybe take over eventually. But, we'll see. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers didn't start for how many years before he actually had his chance? And I'm not saying that Sam Ellinger is Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, it's just like, some quarterbacks don't have the opportunity to sit and just get thrown into the fire like a Zach Wilson. Like I think it's just like there are certain guys like a Baker Mayfield, I think Josh Allen. And I mean, out of those people that I just named who kind of just were thrown into it, the only person who's looked even remotely good has really been Josh Allen. But the thing is, he didn't look that good before he had Stephon Diggs.
Well, I mean, to their point, those teams didn't have a guy that was in front of them that they could, there was any competition. Like how we did with Payman and Andrew Luck. There was no guys holding those guys back from starting and playing. So there was they were our investments. Right now it's hard with Foles and Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan said he could play another 6 years. So not saying we keep him for 6 years, but I mean, hey, if Ballard thinks he can be our quarterback and can still play for the next 3 or 4 years, it makes Sam's job. He's had to be sitting down for another couple more years. It depends. I don't know. We just got to see in the next 2 or 3 years. We got to see what changes they make. And what they think. Is he ready to start now, or they feel like, hey, Matt Ryan, you could be a backup, and then Sam starts. So I can't say until after next season.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Like I said, I was saying the same thing. It's just like we'll see after next season, see how that progresses. But as of right now, it's just like I think he's in a good spot. I think it's just like this is going to be a team that he can absolutely, go with. I know that Nick Foles was Frank Reich's I'm going to sign my guy signing for the year. So, I knew that was going to be the case. But at this point, like I said, we're going to see what happens. But we did get very good news today.
Okay.
Shaq Leonard has officially been activated.
Shaq
All right.
back.
So, yes. So what this means is that it doesn't necessarily mean that he's locked in for week 1 to play, but it means that now, since he's off the PUP list, he can officially start practicing.
Right.
So then, with that being said, what is the reaction, Josh? And what do you think where do you think we are in terms of, will he play week 1? Like, how will this go?
I mean, we know the guy. The guy is going to try to play. That's why they took him off the PUP list, because if he was on the PUP list, he'd be out. I think 46 games. I think.
Yeah.
46 games. So, like you said, with him being off the list, he get to practice, but still be out. He can still be out those weeks, but he can practice and play at any time. So it helps us. It helps us.
Okay.
It helps him, actually. It helps us and helps him, because he can still practice if he don't play week 1 or he don't play week 2.
Yeah.
But he can play week 3 because he's already active. So he's an active body.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not overly hyped about it, because we don't know. I mean, he could push to start. He can push to play. He's like, hey, coach, I can play. Everything is fine, and he can play week 1,
Yeah.
and play the rest of the year. Or he can say, hey, coach, I'm not ready yet. I'm like 80%, which I don't need no 80%, Leonard. I take a 95%, not 80%, and not play at all for the first
Yeah.
week. He might come back against the Titans. Who knows? I mean, that's week 4, so I just like having Leonard practicing, then not have him away from the team until they activate him, and then he could still be out because he be rusty. He'll be rusty practicing late.
Yeah. And that's I'm gonna say, it's just like, I think that this has more to do with kind of getting in those reps. Like I said, it's the defense doesn't look completely different, but this is a different defense, if you understand what I'm saying.
Correct.
So, like, Austin, like, what are your thoughts on him in terms of like where he is? Like, do you think that he's going to rush back? Do you think that he's going to be available? Because I mean, we're 2 weeks away from the season, and if he's just being activated now, do you think that they would operate where they say, hey, you know what, get these practices in, we'll see how you feel in a month, or is this going to be kind of like they're going to be checking in on a day-to-day basis?
So just knowing what I know about Leonard, I feel like it's going to be a day-to-day thing. Like, he'll be out there every day, trying to get back to play week 1, because I mean, it's always been the goal. He even said when he had the surgery that he thinks he'll be back by week 1.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's definitely going to be a day-to-day thing. And it's just good to have like the opportunity, or you get to choose like whether you play in the first 4 games rather than him having to sit out the first 4 games, so to get him activated and back with the team, like Josh said. It feels good to have him back there.
Okay. Yeah, and I think ultimately it's like, you understand the type of injuries that Leonard dealt with. It's just like, I
Yeah.
mean, at this point in his career, he's basically just a walking turnover. Like, at some point or another, it's just like he's going to get a pick, or he's going to even force a fumble. So, I mean, what we're looking at now is we're seeing that he's potentially, at this point, we know that he's going to play 100%, and that he's going to play, you know, he's going to ball out. But at the same time, it's just like, to rush him back at this point, when you know for a fact that he may need that extra week, and then he can just come back in that second week, or he can come back week 2 or week 3. I think it just makes more sense for him to just go ahead and make sure that he's maximizing the rest, but just getting like the minimum reps in, just so that he can get with his defense. Because like I said, he hasn't practiced with this defense. He's done the walkthroughs, he's done everything else, but I don't think he's actually played with the actual defense in the state it is now. And then we're going to see that there's going to be a huge difference now when it comes to how he's able to handle it. Yeah, and Darius said he needs to take his time. Back injuries are no joke, and he said, like Josh said, we need him 100%, if not close. And that's exactly where we need him, because like I said, it's just like you don't want to take him at 70 to 80% because he played at 70 to 80% last season. And if you're
They're
not
pretty bad.
getting, and you're not, yeah, and you're not, if you're not playing at 100%, especially with the back injury, because that back injury could potentially lead to kind of shortening that span in his career. So I'm gonna say just for the fact that you want to have him long term, take the time. Don't do too much. Like I said, I think with this Gus Bradley defense, you're going to see that they're going to wreak havoc when it comes to generating pressure and then also having the help on the back end now. So, we're going to be able to see different things now, but like I said, it's just like just take the time. That's it. I think that's it. That's all. But
Had
now,
we had Matt Eberflus would have been still here, he probably went on public because he know the defense. He didn't practice a lot last year, and he still
yeah,
made impact,
yeah,
some impact. But now this is a whole new defense. He wants to make his job better by practicing, even if he don't play.
yeah. And you know what? And I applaud him, but at the same time, it's just like he's all like he already has his contract, and I know it's just like the contract doesn't mean much because he's not a diva. He's not going to sit out unless he absolutely is forced to, like where he can't go. Like that ankle injury, it's just like he couldn't go with it sometimes. So that's
Right.
what caused him to really not play. But now is the time where you're just like, okay, that you have a serious injury, you need to take the time because I mean, the last thing that we want him to do is just come back prematurely, try to play through injuries, and then we have the same situation we have with Andrew Luck, where Leonard is retiring prematurely.
Right, because he's pushing himself too much to make. This, like I said, this defense is a different defense, but the same defense. But we got other playmakers as well. Other than the
Yeah,
past years, we needed Leonard, we needed Kenny Moore, but now we have other guys. We got our front four that are playing well. We got Bobby in a contract year. We got safety help. We got cornerback help. And I'm saying that it's a void, but I'm not saying that I'm not gonna say he's not gonna be missed. He's gonna be missed. But we could. I mean, I don't like to look over teams. Well, we got two teams that we could beat without them.
yeah,
We
yeah,
got two.
and
So yeah.
yeah, and like I said, I don't mind that. Like that's not bad at all. I think we're just, if anything, we'll be able to do as much as we can. I just don't want him to think that it's just like, yeah, you have to come back. Like, he's going to learn the defense, and he's going to learn his position in defense. I think Gus Bradley is going to still maximize in the way that Eberflus did, but now there's not going to be as much pressure on him because now the pass rush is going to be, I'm going to say it's going to be more prevalent. Like it's going to be just a lot more hard hitting. And then on the back end with the secondary, you don't have to worry about that as much because you're not going to have that time to climb the pocket. You're going to have to go and make a lot of those plays very, very quickly. Otherwise, you're going to be taking sacks or you're going to be taking forced fumbles in the backfield.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. All right. And so moving on to that final 53-man roster. So there was some names that we knew for a fact. There was a tweet that went out that said, and with this camp being over, we're proud to announce that Jonathan Taylor has made the 53-man roster. That's great. I was worried for a second, but when you rush for 1,800 yards in the season, I mean, you kind of have to wonder. But either way, it's just like he made it. So congratulations, Jonathan Taylor. We love you. We appreciate you. Welcome back to the team. But in all seriousness, like I said, we had some people that were, we had some players that we knew for a fact were going to be back. I mean, of course, just going through the groups: Matt Ryan, Nick Foles, Sam Ellinger. We had the halfback group. That Jonathan Taylor, Naeem Hines, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce. It's just like there were names that we knew for a fact were going to be there. There were some that were a little bit surprising, but I'm going to say there were some that were just like, okay, all right, I see it, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, whatever. What did you think, Austin? Like, how did it pan out from what we talked about in the past few weeks to where it is now in terms of, how many different, I'm going to say, in terms of who made it and who might not, and who didn't make it?
I think we had a pretty good picture of who was going to be here and who wasn't. Like there's a couple surprises. Philip Lindsay. I think we all thought he was going to be on the roster.
Yeah.
But he got cut, and then special teams, like him not playing special teams, obviously hurt him. And Deion Jackson.
Yeah.
Was our 3.
Mhm.
Linebacker, Weather.
Weatherford.
Yeah. People like he had a good preseason, but he didn't make the final roster. JoJo, he made the final roster. Domain. So like there's a
Who, Doman?
couple guys. Yeah.
You say he did or he
couple-
didn't?
He
He
did.
did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So just a couple people that were iffy, but we for the most part I feel like we all knew around about who was gonna make it and who wasn't.
Okay. All right. And then what about you, Josh? What was your reaction to the final roster?
Pretty much the same as Austin. I think my surprise would have been JoJo, Tony Brown, Delayus Flowers,
Oh yeah.
Ben Banigou, and the French fries crew.
Oh my God. Not French fries.
No, but I mean, real fries is good. Then I didn't know anything about whiskey French, so I guess they chose him over Dennis Kelly. So, I mean, I'm not a big deal. It's not an overreaction for me. I'm glad Bernard made it. He looked really good. The highlights that I saw from him was really good, taking on 2 defenders on that one run. I think it was like the first game or second game. Well, he played good in all 3 games actually. So we knew Eric Johnson would make it. We was high on him.
Yeah.
So that's a plus. And that Afidi.
Ifiati Odenibo.
Yeah, I didn't want him to make the roster because then I have a hard time saying their name. So come like Dabo. Oh, which one is what? Hold up. So yeah, that name are the same. So
yeah.
But he's
they're slightly different. Deo has a Y in the middle of his name. I actually just saw that today, so I was just like, oh, there is a slight difference, and I don't know if that changes how it is, but
right.
It's still confusing as all hell. So I mean, you know what? It's Deo and Ifia or Io. I'm gonna call him Io.
You said Io. Yeah,
Io.
but try watching the game live, and then they say his name, be like, who? Well, oh shoot him, Deo. Oh no, it's the other one.
Well, it was the same way that we found out that Okereke was the proper pronunciation, apparently.
Correct. We messed that up, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, no, not old Lindsay. Man, I put him in the same boat as Marlon Mack of last year. Marlon Mack, we could have used him, but Deion was better on special teams, and that's what they need. They needed a special team guy, and so Mack was inactive the whole year. So I would rather have Deion than have Philip Lindsay being inactive for all year. Keep him on a team where he ain't gonna never play.
Yeah.
So he can go somewhere else and play. Go to a team that need a third back. He can go back to the Texans. Go to Jacksonville. Go to the go to the Chiefs or whatever. I don't care. But I would, but it sucked having Marlowe on our team. He was inactive for the whole year. I think he played like maybe 1 or 2 games. And so why have a veteran guy as inactive all year when he can go to a team and even to a contending team, give him a chance, instead of just being inactive. So yeah, I'm not really surprised about that one, but because I get it. But the rest of the guys, it's a no-brainer.
No, absolutely. And you know what, the biggest thing, I guess my takeaway from the final 53-man roster is the fact that we knew who it was going to be. Like that they brought in Gilmore. He was going to be the starter from day one.
Right.
You bring in guys like you draft Nick Cross. You do apologize, but you bring in guys like Ngakwe. Like I said, you had Doman who made it. There were guys who were kind of already a lock, but you see like Taekwon Lewis came back, and now it's just like they're going to have him in a rotation as well. You're going to have guys like Pryor, who to me I'm not too high on, but you knew that he was going to be, the guy that at the left tackle. I still think that Raymond is eventually going to take over, but I think that everybody was pretty much locked in. I think with a couple of the injuries, like the Ogletree injury was a major injury. The Sanchez injury was major. I think Armani Watts was a major injury to special teams. Otherwise, we might have been looking at having something a little bit different there in terms of how they would have held on to certain parts of the roster. But I think it's.
Oh, we didn't touch on what's name making it. Rodney Thomas, he made it.
Yeah, Rodney Thomas made it too. Yep. And like I said, that was for he made over somebody like Anthony Chesley, who we knew was like a versatile guy. But like I said, I think the theme right now is going to be to make sure that we're kind of locked in on all three phases. It's just like I think last year there was plays made on offense, there was plays made on defense, there was also plays made in special teams. With the forced fumbles, with being able to score touchdowns on special teams. So that's going to be a major thing. But moving on, and actually, hold on, we have another comment. Darius said, "I'm glad my boy Sean and Patman made it, even though I thought QT could be decent." So actually, that brings up an interesting point because the next one that I want to talk about was the most surprising performances of preseason. And I'm going to say, at least for me, for the surprise, or I'm going to say, well, let me just go ahead and just have two. I'm going to have one on offense, one on defense. I'm going to say one of the surprising ones was, I'm going to say Mike Strawn, especially coming off of injury. I know that he spent a lot of time just kind of like waiting to get out there. And then the first chance that he had against the Lions, he actually did really well. I think he caught all the passes on the one drive that they had that ended up being the scoring drive in the Lions game. And I'm going to say on defense, I want to say I'm not necessarily surprised, but I think it's just like also just once again, Nick Cross was somebody that we've been talking about since he was drafted, who, he was playing like he'd already been there. Once again, going back to that Lions game, being able to defend the pass the way that he did, also showing that he does have those coverage skills. And then even to the week prior where, he broke down and he was actually able to make an open field tackle on a play that was a design run play where he had the instincts to be able to kind of just go ahead and make a tackle that, sometimes rookies tend to kind of, I'm going to say, overplay, and they let that play go, and then it ends up being a big one. So, I think Strawn and Cross were two very, very surprising but refreshing performances, especially coming from two young guys. But Josh, what was yours? What was your most surprising performances of the preseason?
None on offense because we respected those guys. We respect Patman, we respected Strawn, Pittman, even Pierce, and the running backs to do their thing. Our rushing was pretty bad because line play, but we can get that fixed. But I'm still gonna stay on defense. I'm gonna stick with Sterling Weatherford. He's been outstanding. It still pains me the fact that he ain't on the roster because a guy was making tackles, tackle after tackles. I know JoJo did his thing, but Sterling was all three practice. Sterling's name was mentioned several times in that game. Commentators kept saying, Sterling kept making a play. He's there. He's always making a tackle, I think he got a pick the first game. So it's man, I don't know. I mean, he showed up, like a maniac. Not saying he will be the next maniac, but he showed up like a maniac, making those tackles, getting those turnovers, being at every gap, making every play. His name was, I saw that 55 jersey under every pile. So that was most surprising for me. Nick Cross being a rookie, and we forget that Mike Mitchell is our DB coach. So he's getting coaching from, the best back there. One of the best safeties in the game before he retired.
And it was him and I think Ollie too.
Yeah, and Ollie. So I mean, we can't ignore that. That he's getting the coaching that he can for his first year. And like I said all along when we traded for him, I said Kurt Willis got to watch out for that. Watch out for his spot. He retired, but he had to watch out for his spot because Nick Cross was coming, and we can see
Yeah.
it. We see that move, uh, the move to be traded up, and having a guy to retire. This position is his to lose, and he haven't lost it. He don't look like he's losing it at all. So that was surprising. So that's. I mean, Chesley did good. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, that's really it for me. I don't really have any guys on offense because they did good. Sam, I knew Sam would do that. I knew. I mean, we didn't see a lot of guys. We didn't see a lot from Foles or Matt. So, yeah, those are two names, Weatherford and Cross.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, so on offense, obviously Sam Ellinger, Desmond Patton both did great, but I don't want to steal yours, but I am. Mike Strawn, ever since he came back from injury, I was looking for him to make plays, and he did. And I really hope that he gets some playing time in the regular season because I'd like to see him against like number ones on defense. And on defense, obviously Nick Cross did great. I won't steal both ears. Against the Bucks, I really liked Rodney Thomas, and I think that's one of the main reasons he made the final 53. Like he was making tackle after tackle. There was one drive I think he made all the tackles.
Yeah,
he was just everywhere, and it was good to see from a 7th round draft pick.
Yeah, and you know what? And like I said, I don't think it's lost on anybody that these guys is just like they want to make that 53-man roster. Like I do feel like guys like Weatherford will probably end up on the practice squad because I mean, I think ultimately you have to prioritize like, okay, well, you know what, we need to have this available,
right.
and the one thing that I think that's going to happen is you're going to see that guys are on the practice squad. I don't know if Philip Lindsay will end up on there. I think Weatherford will end up on there. Probably DeMichael Harris will again. Maybe even Marvell Tell. But I think at this point, the team is pretty much set. I think Weatherford, we might actually end up seeing him on the team at some point, late in the season. Depending on potential injuries or whatever may be going on. But at this point, I think we're pretty good in terms of having depth and having depth outside of the depth that we have. So if something ever happens, I think that we'll be fine. But
right.
But on the flip side of things, most disappointing performances of camp. And we'll start with you, Austin.
Most disappointing. Nick Foles. He didn't get to play a ton, but for me, like you bring him in and you think like that's the best backup you could get, and he's in the game, and I didn't see him make like a single good throw. Maybe he just wasn't in a rhythm or anything, but you just expect a veteran like that to be able to come in and at least look decent. But, I mean, he didn't do anything that made me feel like he should even be on the 53-man roster.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I'm going to ask a question, only because like this. Nick Foles has probably had like one of the most up and down careers outside of Eli Manning that I've ever seen. It's just like, yeah, he's been a Super Bowl MVP, but he's had seasons where he's just been bad. Is the fact that he has that Super Bowl MVP or that he had that good year, is that what people are going off of when they're judging his capability to be a solid like backup quarterback? Because if we're going according to recency, he was with the Bears and it was not good at all.
Yeah.
Well, the Bears wasn't good at all.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, does the team have to be good in order for the quarterback to be good?
I mean, that's pretty much, that's what we see. having a quarterback, we've been there. We had Peyton Manning, and we had, in order for Peyton Manning to be Peyton Manning, we needed Reggie Wayne, we needed Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark, and the running backs, Adrian James, Marshall Faulk, Joseph Adai. The list goes on. Without those guys, Peyton Manning is not the guy that he is. You've seen that with Denver. He went there. Denver was a missing quarterback, was a missing piece. He went there, win a Super Bowl. And so quarterback play, having a good having talent around your quarterback is very, very vital. I mean, the pieces he had in Philly can't overlook it. I mean, and that's both times. Both times it was the stints there. The teams he went to outside of that, he didn't have all the talent, or he's a backup. In St. Louis, he's bad. I mean, where else he went? I think, did he go to the Chiefs? He was bad.
Yeah, he was on the Chiefs. He was bad on the Chiefs. Yes.
And then down the Bears. I mean, and they bad. So you see in comment, all the teams were bad when he was there at that time. He didn't get the same team that Mahomes have or Alex Smith have. And so St. Louis, I mean, now they LA, he don't have that same team. And Philly had a squad then when he played. And all they did was if they didn't have Foles, they had somebody else. I don't think they win. I mean, I'll just put him in the place. They had Gardner Minshew. They don't win that game.
Yeah, but but the thing is also there's no telling because even to your Peyton Manning example, it's just like you have Reggie Wayne and you have what's the name? You have like Reggie Wayne, you have Marvin Harrison, but we saw that Peyton Manning was also successful with guys like Pierre Garçon and Austin Collie, who by no means were household names. They were just guys who
we still had the core guy, which was Reggie Wayne.
I mean, yeah, you still had Reggie Wayne, but the thing is, it's just like it takes more than one guy. I mean, we see that as great as Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are, they're still not able to get over that hump now. Like they I mean, they had what I think 1 or 2 seasons together so far, and they still haven't gotten to that big game, which people have been saying that they're going to get to every single year. I think when it comes,
they dealt what we dealt with. They run into all the years that the Colts were good, and we always had to face New England. So they always had to face the Chiefs every time they can get. If they had not had to face the Chiefs, and I mean, I say that they played I believe they would have beat the Bengals had they not played the Chiefs the previous week.
Yeah,
on the overtime thing. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, you make sense though. You do make sense. I do get your point. It do make sense that teams. I guess sometimes you have to have like LJ make the Ravens better. Without him, they're not. Yeah. So I get you saying though. So yeah, you may right.
Yeah. But what was I'm going to say? What was your most disappointing performance of the season of camp preseason? Though.
The only disappointing, not a player, but disappointing was the tackling. Our defense, our rushing defense, outside of the first screen, is pretty bad. I mean, the last 2 weeks, against the Lions. I mean, even first week, but the Lions and Tampa Bay. I mean, whoever was in those games, they had positive yardage, and they kept running the same play. And the commentator kept saying, "This is the same thing happened last week." I'm like, "Yeah, and can we stop it?" Our second strings and third strings are bad. They're not good at tackling, and they're not good at closing their caps. I mean, it's just like I kept seeing big 10-yard runs, 15-yard runs. I was like, yes, the tackling guy gets sold up on it, in case these guys do have to start at some point of the season, in a long season. So I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that much. So, I mean, you can say Foles, but it's a preseason game. If it had been a regular season game, I would want him to get cut.
Yeah, what I'm gonna say is just like I'm tired of the Frank Reich bringing in his guys, man. It's been happening for the last 3 years, and I mean, in some way, shape, or form, it's just like Nick Foles was coming to Indy for the last few years, ever since he was in Chicago almost, and you know what if you're bringing a guy with you. Let it be a guy that is actually good. If he wants to bring a guy with him from Philly, bring over Lane Johnson. Bring over a stud O lineman. That's fine. But the thing is, just like frequently, just kind of going with the whole, just like, yeah, he's my guy, he's good. It's just like I think that's the reason why Frank Reich it kind of should be worried because he got his guy last year, and we ended up 9-8 and didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
And it's one of those things where it just feels like okay, yeah, we got Nick Foles, but it's like, come on, like can we please not do this again? Can we please not go into having to go and get this guy over and over again in order to go ahead and just appease it just because you're vouching for it? Like, I get putting your people on, but it's just like at this point, it's just like it's getting a little tired. Like it's really just getting like kind of like lame at this point. But like I said, it's going to. I hope that this is the last year that we see that because I'm tired of the Nick Foles thing. Honestly, like yeah, it's just like you had a good year, fantastic, but the thing is, there's no reason why you should be gaining willful employment every single year just because you had that one great year. Like it's just yeah. But I'm gonna say it's just like I'm gonna go a little bit off kilter with what I'm gonna say. I hate the French fries combination. I truly do. Like it's just like it's French fries. It's a great play on words, but they stink. They're not that great. Like
Will fries is okay though.
Fries is okay, but the thing is, it's just like he's just okay. Like even though I'm not really big on Pryor. I think the bigger issue we're gonna have is Pinter at that right guard position because in the limited amount of play that he had last season, like they had them going kind of in and out. I wasn't necessarily a big fan of Pinter when it came down to his play, how it was, basically just what was going on regarding how he was playing, and now he's going to be the certified starter. Now go ahead, Austin.
Well, to fix that problem, what if we bring in dude that the Raiders just released, that guard? He's from Alabama.
Oh, Leatherwood.
Yeah, bring him in. Let him be the starter. Let Pinner be backup center because I like him better at center, anyways.
I would love for the Colts to pick up Leatherwood. Like, honestly, I feel like we have two starters on our line that are suspect right now. I think plugging in Leatherwood would immediately help the situation. I'm not going to say it's going to 100% solve it, but I think that would absolutely make it so that we don't have to worry about that or about that portion of the game so much, because now that you have somebody who's a starter that the Raiders, and mind you, I don't know what the hell the Raiders are doing right now. I mean, they just traded Trayvon Mullen, their best corner, to Arizona
for pennies.
Yeah, for nothing.
Yeah, so the thing is, it's just like I don't know what the Raiders are doing, but the last thing that Josh McDaniels should have been able to do was trade players away. Because the very first thing that he does is trade away his best players, and then just I don't know, man. It's dumb, but like I said, I'm not sold on the whole French fries connection. Darius said we shouldn't have let Chris Reed go. I agree because I think Chris Reed was the better out of Reed and Pinter. But at this point, it's just like you kind of just looking back and hoping now. But I mean, picking up Leatherwood, I think would solve a big portion of the issues. I'm not once again, I'm not sold on Pryor. I think Pryor had a bad offseason that I just was not sold on. I think Ryman is going to eventually replace him, but like I said, I haven't been sold on Pryor, especially since last year, because he just wasn't that great. He was serviceable, but he wasn't great. He's better than Eric Fisher because Eric Fisher's trash, but
I saw Joe Head get released.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, figure that might happen too because he got released from Tampa Bay, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he could stay where he's at because they overpaid for him just last year, and then they just cut him this year.
Well, the Steelers cut him.
Oh, Steelers cut him. Okay. Well, either way, he was another one who just wasn't that great. So
he was serviceable for a depth guy. I wouldn't want him to start, but to service a guy, we need. I mean, we mentioned Chris Reed, but what about Glow? I mean, he had a down season last year, but it wasn't a reason to cut him.
I mean it, but the thing is like we saw enough out of Reed and Pinter where I guess they thought that they were going to be able to kind of, I guess, hold on to both. But I mean, Reed got the better deal when it came to him going to Minnesota, so I don't blame him. But
Yeah,
I do feel like we got the lesser of the two.
I don't think we were planning on letting Reed go. I think.
Yeah,
isn't he from around Minnesota?
I think so.
Like he went home. So I don't think we were planning on losing him. But
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we say that, but I mean, they didn't do enough to offer a contract because they wanted to see like Balladu all the time. He wants the players to set their market. If it's too much, then hey, we're not going to re-sign them.
okay, yeah. But so now moving on, and like I said, after this, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. We're gonna have one guy that shouldn't have made the roster, and one guy that should have made the roster. So starting off, guys, quick round table. Josh, one person that shouldn't have made the roster.
Shouldn't have.
Shouldn't have.
I'm not gonna say his name, but I'll just say his number, 52. Shouldn't have.
It's not. Well, I'm not gonna say his name, but it probably rhymes with Win Manigu.
Shouldn't have made it. He does this every year. He does this every year in the preseason. He does extremely well. Make the plays, get sacks, and then in the regular season he don't make it, not one impact. So he wasted a spot. Could have got another guy. Could have added Weatherford. Which one guy I was going to say that should have made it.
Okay. All right, and that's fair. So Win Manigu shouldn't have made it, and Weatherford should have. What about you, Austin?
I'm just gonna say Nick Foles. I feel like Sam showed enough that he could be the backup.
Yeah.
And then also, if we're going with who we think should make it as well, I think Weatherford should have made it as well.
Okay. All right. And I think we're all kind of unanimous on the fact that Weatherford should have made it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that Win Manigu probably shouldn't have made it. I'm not a big fan. But you know what? I'm gonna deviate from that because I think we all kind of feel the same way when it comes to him. I'm gonna say that I don't think that Matt Pryor should have made it. I don't like, honestly, it's just like I don't think that he's that good where they just kind of declared him to be that guy at that position. Like, yeah, of course, it's just like he looks fantastic next to Eric Fisher because Eric Fisher's garbage. But when we're talking about the left tackle position, if you're talking about developing Ryman, okay, then that's fine. But the thing is, it's just like don't just outright just call him the starter because I don't think that he's earned enough to be the starter, especially when you've seen that when he plays, he's getting blown up on a lot of these plays. Like his success rate is definitely not as high as his loss rate when it comes down to pass block rate wins and losses and run block rate wins and losses.
Right.
So, but like I said, it's just like that's just where it is. But on that note, we are finished for this evening. Now we will be back. Yes, we will be back next week, which means that we will be back and we will be going over the gloriousness that will be the regular season will finally be kicking off. Thank goodness. We are happy that it has made it here. We are absolutely ecstatic that we are going to have the opportunity to be here. And I think, you know what? I think next week will be a good opportunity for us to have some Texans fans on since we're playing the Texans week 1. What do you guys think?
I don't want to add anybody that's going to lose that week. So, no, we can do that. We can do that. We can reach out to people.
Shameful. Shameful. Absolutely shameful.
I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, but like I said, we'll go ahead. We'll be on here next week where we'll be discussing the week 1 matchup. Just kind of going over everything and then any other NFL news. In the meantime, guys, tell the people where to find you on social media so they can interact and do all the other great stuff that they would like to do, except for curse you out and call you out in the name that your mothers and fathers gave you.
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at I am Josh Senior. I don't really do IG anymore because I don't care no more. But yeah.
Good to know. Thank you for that. All right. What about you, Austin?
You can find me at the Vols game on Thursday. Go
Oh,
Vols!
man.
There you go.
And
Who are they playing?
Ball State.
Hey, listen. Either way, it's a Vols game. So
Yeah.
you know what? Enjoy yourself, okay?
Yeah, I will. And on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
All right. Well, I'm going to say it's just like you can find me. So since Austin has such great plans, you can find me coaching my 4 and 5-year-old flag team on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, go Warriors playing against Hokie, which that should be a fun game.
So you guys got plans and I don't have plans. You know what?
You
So
got it.
so you can find me Monday, slumped over in the chair eating food for Labor Day.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, so other than that, and then also, as you see here on this line, at YDKJAC Podcast, at YDK Basketball, at YDKJAC Baseball, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you tune in. We always have something going on, always discussing some things. Probably, maybe excitement for beginning of the season, might do another giveaway. I know we gave away the preseason tickets recently. So, hey, listen, just be on the lookout, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Tell your people, all right? And make sure everybody's there to watch, because you might see something exciting. All right.
I got
But
a
in the
footnote before we go. I got a footnote before we go.
Oh, we got a footnote. What do we got? What do we got?
A friendly reminder that the Titans traded AJ to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, yeah, the Saints also traded Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the
guy
Eagles today as well.
the guy that said he was better than Kenny Moore.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
that guy.
Well, now we'll never know.
We'll know, but I mean, we'll see what Philly does with him.
Yeah. Well, then also be mindful of the fact that not only did they get traded, but also another big trade that went down. Laviska Shenault from the Jaguars got traded to the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, the same guy that they said was better than Pittman.
Yeah.
Man, everybody's wrong, huh? Man, this is all I don't know.
Not only are they wrong, but they're also awful. So as far as that goes, you gotta stop listening to people that are frequently giving you opinions based on opinions, not based on facts. Kenny Moore has done what he's done. He's recognized as the best nickel corner in the league.
Facts.
I like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Cool dude.
Yeah,
he's a cool dude. You know, I like, but they didn't want to pay the man. So, hey, it is what it is. But on that note, we are out of here. And yeah, so other than that, guys, we will be back next week, next Tuesday, possibly some surprise guests. So make sure you tune in. All right.
Later, guys.
And so with that,